Hey everybody, it's Austin Ward back for another BuckIQ. We've got the man himself, Zach Boren. It's an off-season version. We're looking back at the 2018 Buckeyes, and you think about that year and all the talk that we've done about the defense and the linebackers in particular, Zach. It always comes down to that guy in the middle. You know this better than anybody. We had a lot of conversations about ups and downs with Tuf Borland. When you look at the year as a whole, how do you think that year went for him?
I was actually pretty pleased with his performance throughout the year. You know, I think the beginning of the season, obviously coming off the Achilles injury, no one really knew what to expect. But as the season went on, I think as the defense got better, it was due to his leadership and his play right there in the middle. You know, being in the middle is a big job. You're the quarterback of the defense. But, you know, everyone has to do their job in order for the defense to be successful. So I think a lot of blame gets put on especially the linebackers. We talked about them a lot. But down the stretch, Tuf Borland really solidified that defense. And I couldn't be more excited for what he's going to be putting out, you know, this year in 2019 in that defense.
He's an interesting character to me because I continued to ask him throughout the year, and he got really annoyed about his health, if he was still feeling, you know, any repercussions from that Achilles, if he rushed back, and he doesn't want to admit he's a lot like John Simon was. He didn't want to ever admit if he was feeling pain. Finally, towards the end at the Rose Bowl, he's like, well, maybe I wasn't 100%, but I felt like I could play and I wanted to be out there. So when you factor that in, if he is 100% now moving into this spring and next fall, maybe you are going to see somebody like the end of 2017 again. Maybe there's no reason to assume that he's not going to be able to win a competition again this spring.
Yeah, and I think that goes to show what kind of player and teammate Tuf Borland is, right? He's a guy who's not going to complain, not going to make excuses for the way he feels. He's going to go out there and give it his all and give his team his all. I also believe, I'm a firm believer that the linebacker position, and especially Tuf Borland, is going to change. His play is going to change drastically with the coaching change. You know, we talked about a bunch of these, you know, the changing of the coaches and bringing in Greg Madison and Al Washington and even Brian Hartline full-time with the wide receivers group. I think Tuf Borland being able to lean on Al Washington, he's a young, energetic coach. It's going to do wonders for Tuf Borland going into 2019.
Towards the end of the year, Borland was starting to make some of those big-time plays again for the Buckeyes. He's building towards this spring, and Zach Boren is going to break down some of the good and some of the bad as we start looking forward to this 2019 season for the Buckeyes. So let's roll the tape. All right, Zach, well, it took some time, but I thought finally by November you were starting to see some of the best of Tuf Borland, and here's some of that aggressiveness, that willingness to take on a block that you've talked about all year.
Yeah, this is Tuf Borland to a T. You know, being able to blitz into the formation from where he's at. Yeah, it's a great blitz game called by Greg Schiano, but at the same time, Tuf is able to read it out. You know, it's reading out. When you're blitzing and you're able to kind of stop and see the plays, you see him kind of stop here for a second because he realizes, hey, you know, I'm not going to keep on going this way. The ball's here. So he reads out of his blitz and is able to be physical with the running back, get off of him, shed him, and make the play on the quarterback.
And look, we know there were a lot more points that were going to be scored in this game against Maryland, but this was a key point for Ohio State. They're down 14. They need a stop. Borland helped deliver one here, and it almost makes you wonder, though, from my perspective, Zach, like why this wasn't more common. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think it's something where the linebackers just had to get comfortable. You know, we're not sure how comfortable, how prepared Billy Davis had him for games, and we're not sure how comfortable these two were playing next to each other. But as the season went on, you saw the defense get better. Granted, the Maryland game, there was a lot more points to be scored, but that was just the team in general, you know. But it was almost like when a play had to be made by this defense, the linebackers were stepping up and making a play.
Yeah, we actually talked about the end of that game in an earlier BuckIQ this season. Borland maybe being in position to help disrupt that two-point conversion. This is another big play where he just fires and reads something in the backfield.
And I love seeing this play because this is a reaction. How many times during the season do we talk? Defenses read and react. Do we see Tuf Borland here? This is kind of what it was in 2012, the Michigan game, right? Listen, there is no blitz called. He sees it with his eyes. He knows the quarterback is a threat to run, and he breaks after he sees it. He knows he doesn't have an immediate threat here in coverage, knows everyone's got it taken care of. Jordan Fuller's able to come down, and guess what? He read and reacts, fires on the quarterback, and is able to make a big-time sack in a crucial part of this game.
This has got to be, you tell me, this is an awkward position to be in, right? That route is going to come his way. If he hesitates at all, He's not going to get there for the sack, and there's an open guy coming.
As a middle linebacker, this is the classic cover 8 that you see at Ohio State. You're playing off of number 3. Right here, there's 3 wide. You're playing off of the slot. As a middle linebacker, you normally like to play inside the box, right? Like to play tackle to tackle. You get out here to play inside of him, and this is a hard spot, right? You feel him go vertical. As soon as he goes vertical, you know someone is coming back inside. It's just science, right? It's concept. You just know. But as soon as he feels him go deep, he fires on this because he knows Jordan Fuller's got his back. Right here, he knows Malik Harrison is playing off of number 2 right here. And he feels Malik Harrison is sitting right here in the middle. He knows the back swing, and Malik can play slow on it. So Malik has his back with this guy coming over the middle, and he's able to fire on and make a big play.
So I know it's come up a lot. You see this play. Tuf Borland is flying in, making a play in the backfield. Here's another example where we've heard so much. Well, Tuf Borland he's not playing as fast as he used to. He's not the same physically. Well, these are still pretty high caliber plays right here.
Watching this play in the first week of November, I knew Tuf Borland was back. I remember watching this play vividly and knowing as soon as he made this, Tuf Borland is back. It's just he set the tone this entire game. We know Michigan State did not have a great offense, but the way Tuf Borland came and played this game, he was firing. He looked quicker. He looked like his reactions were better. This is when we knew he was back. He sees the guard pull. It's a guard pull. Tackle's coming down to try and cut him off. He's able to strike through, rip through, beat the tackle across his face, and be able to make a play on this quarterback right here, knowing that Malik is playing over top here on the jet motion. This is played perfectly. Malik's on the jet, right? He comes in, sees the guard pull, beats the tackle across his face, gets a tackle for loss.
Sometimes these might sound stupid questions to you, but when you look at this, Tuf seems to be on a blitz there the whole way. You're reading the run, or is this just designed this way defensively?
I think it's designed this way. Right here you've only got a tight end, so you've got safety over top, and you've got a corner right here coming back on the tight end. I believe they had Malik Harrison when they saw jet. He was going to take off after this, and Borland was going to play the middle of the defense. Gotcha. I believe because they didn't want Tuf flying out here trying to make a play on a jet. We know Malik Harrison's the athlete, Tuf Borland's the inside tackle to tackle. So it's called a cross read. They're cross reading this. Malik's in charge of the jet sweep this way. You still got defensive end help. Tuf Borland's got everything inside the tackle. With the guard pull, 99% of the time, the guard is going to tell you where it's going to go. He pulls a great shoots it perfectly. Malik Harrison's playing over top of it.
Big time play. That helped. Ohio State was really dominant defensively that day. Another game later on in the year to win the Big Ten championship. We talked so much about consistency for those Silver Bullets and earning that nickname. We can't just talk about the good with Tuf Borland. There was a little bad, and I don't know if he's solely to blame on this play, but this is one that people ask about a lot where it says, this is an example of maybe he not having that speed all the way back.
You can tell there's confusion. You see him at the beginning of this play going around, talking to the defense. He's not in position. If he was in position, he'd be back here at 5 yards, and he'd be able to come down and strike this guard in the hole, which we've talked about. Strike and shed the entire year. Being physical at the line of scrimmage. He gets caught up at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't get a read on the play. Actually, it's the center. He's almost backpedaling, trying to get a read on what's going on. The center's able to get over top of him, and this running back has got a clear lane right here. Granted, D.D. Landers did not do a great job. Yeah. He backdoored the block. Granted, he should be trying to fight over top of it. It's just a whole defense, right? You play as a cohesive unit, but I'm a firm believer if Tuf Borland's back here at regular depth, he's able to see this, be able to come down, strike this offensive center in the hole, and almost make it a wall.
I think it's a matter of something you talked about right off the jump there, Zach, that if there's a new coach, a new philosophy, new scheme, new emphasis on fundamentals, you talked about it with this guy here now. I mean, maybe you've seen examples of him making plays just in this BuckIQ. We cherry-picked a couple. This change, how beneficial could it be then for Tuf Borland?
I think it's going to be huge. We've seen the guys from Michigan, the way their linebackers play. They fly, they're quick, they're read and react type players. When I see that on film, it tells me that Al Washington is huge on believing in what you read and playing with your eyes. Defense is all about recognition and playing with your eyes. There are so many times that before the ball is even snapped, as a defensive player, if you've watched film and you have a great scouting report going in from your coaches, you will be able to diagnose what they're giving you based on a formation and go through percentages. Okay, I know they may be running zone away. They may be running down and around from the center, right? There's certain plays that you're going to read and recognize. And the way I see Michigan's linebackers play, they see that. Al Washington is so good at putting a game plan together for his linebackers that's simple, and they're able to just play the game. And I think that's what you're going to see, especially with these two, is Malik Hooker's going to take Malik Harrison's going to take a huge step. Tuf Borland's going to take a huge step because Al Washington's going to let them play, not think so much, and he's going to show them what it's like to read an offense when you're out there.
Another big spring coming up for Tuf Borland, back for another year, trying to get healthy after that tough 2018 with the Achilles injury. Zach Boren, of course, will be breaking him down here on BuckIQ. Little linebacker to linebacker conversation is always fun to break that down. So for Zach Boren, I'm Austin Ward. This has been BuckIQ at Lettermen Row. We'll see you next time.